Welcome to Akwaaba on Muntu Bantu Digital Narrowcast. The thoughts, views, opinions expressed by the host of this narrowcast are for educational purposes only and may at times become entertaining or nonetheless serious in nature due to the topics we select and cover. We are not exposing, revealing, indicting, or telling you anything other than what's already reported by the big budget mainstream media. We look to shine the light of Baba Mungu by exposing what is done in darkness to light. Enjoy the narrowcast.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to Club Akwaaba on Muntu Nabantu Digital Narrowcast.
This is Jade Phoenix Rising.
And this is your brother SilverbackKONGO. Jade, what's up, woman? How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Actually, today's topic has me in a pensive moment. You know,
Mm,
I think, there are topics that are so eye-opening and heart-wrenching. And then there are other topics that it's like, wow, we can go on for days talking about this and never go tired. But this particular topic that we're going to be sharing today leads us to have more discussions. And I think within the community, there definitely needs to be some discussions about this amongst yourself because it is a situation that is very obvious, but at the same time, there's a need for it that's so egregious that if you are the person who needs this help, you would soon realize that this deficit is so wide, it's so big, and it can't be ignored. Um, Today's topic is. Would you like
black,
to share the title?
yes, it is Black representation. Where are the attorneys?
Where are the attorneys?
Episode 009.
Where are the attorneys? Attorneys wanted. We want representation. And,
Mm,
you know, I'm not going to jump into the topic right away, but I think just the title alone, I want our audience to just really think about this for a second. Attorneys wanted. Where are the attorneys? Think about that for a minute, okay? All right, let's get into the visual, and we're going to be sharing the quote of the day, and then we're
mm,
going to go back to that question.
yes, yes. And the visual, let's get right into it. Let's get right into it. Okay, the quote of the day is trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. I'm going to read it again. Trust in thy Lord with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy path. Proverbs 3, 5 to 6. And this particular quote really correlates with what we're going to talk about today. It goes in line with, in trusting. If you're trusting in the Most High, you are trusting in His establishment, His system. Okay, and with the topic today, we're talking about lawyers, and lawyers belong to a system, a judicial system of the laws of the land. Okay, lawyers are officers of the court, and they are the people that police. Okay, in the judicial system, they are the officers. Pretty much, they're gonna uphold the laws. All right, they're gonna instruct.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna present it before a court, so that the judge, who is as you would say, he's a jurist. Okay, a judge is a jurist, as well as sometimes you have jurists that if you're being judged, you have either a judge who's gonna be a jurist who's gonna interpret the law, or they're gonna have your peers who are gonna judge you and interpret the law. All right, but in any case, it all relies this beautiful. I know it's actually a curtain, or a shower curtain covers, right? The law should be able to cover you, protect you. But it always seems as if people feel like law judges them, right? The assumption is law judges you. But no, law is supposed to cover you, protect you. But in today's world, the laws are a judgment unto people, all right, which is unfortunate. But, if this quote pertains, if you feel that you need a reminder, it's a beautiful curtain. It's something that you can, use as a affirmation to the laws and to justice of our Father, Baba Mungu, who's in control of all things. So, family, meditate on those words. What do you think, Jade?
Oh, definitely. In terms of the Lord, His ways are clear, and He is the just judge. And the great thing about it is we know that He loves us, and He doesn't govern and rule this world in the wicked ways that our world does.
Mm-hmm.
He's not creating a law for this person versus that person. It's for all.
Mm-hmm.
He expects of us to love one another, and He expects there to be order. We have, as a people, brought a lot of disorder in this world because of our sin, because of greed, because of impatience and doubt, jealousy, all of those things that we've that we're familiar with in terms of sin. But in terms of law, and today's lesson, we're going to be talking about laws, Black representation, and what it is to want and seek justice in a world that's corrupt.
Okay.
Our Heavenly Father loves us, and He is not a corrupt Father, but He has a lot of people. I mean, we have a lot of people on this planet that are corrupt, and there is a way and an order, and there will be justice. But for us who are longing to see justice on earth, we still have a lot to discover and protect, because we all have rights, but our rights are not always being honored. And we have to demand justice and equality. And so I think today's topic is one that, I mean, this is not about you agreeing with us, or our opinion matters more than yours. There is a need in our community. And if you should ever find yourself in a situation where you needed representation, you're going to also recognize the void. And so that's why we're bringing today's topic, because we need to talk about this. What do we do with this problem? Okay, and then I'm like, Silverback, you know, you know how we've been talking. I said, gee, where do we begin with this topic?
Yeah.
When I think about, that statue that they have in the courthouses, it's the woman with the blindfold and she's holding the scales.
Yeah. Hold that thought, Jade. Hold that thought for a second. So you're talking about the lady of justice, Lady Justice.
Yes, the Lady of Justice.
Mm.
Supposedly she's supposed to be blind, but we are not colorblind.
She's supposed to be
We
blind.
can see that.
She's blind in what ways? Like she's not able to see. Well, she's not.
She's not able to see. You're basically supposed to govern and be fair. There's supposed to be, I believe, equity, right?
Mm.
That you have a law, you're supposed to be fair and not be impartial.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you go when you see impartiality and unfairness? We see with our eyes impartiality and unfairness, but
Mm.
the justice system is supposed to be fair and
Yeah,
impartial.
but the key word here is it's supposed to be.
Supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what if you are the person who needs representation, and the people who are representing you don't really have your best interest at heart? They can't
Or
relate to you, and they may not even fight for your defense as passionately as they would if you had money, or maybe if you were privileged, or were of a certain class or status or race. We can see that there is a discrepancy in terms of equity in the judicial system.
mm-hmm.
So what do we do about that situation?
To be
Now, I believe we're supposed to have, I mean, we're supposed to have at least opportunities where we can request representation. Like how you go to the doctor's office and you say, well, I don't want a male doctor, I want a female doctor.
exactly.
Have you ever, Silverback, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you've ever needed representation and found there to be a void?
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I am. I called up a law firm, and I was paired with I was paired with a law firm, a law firm, and I requested that my attorney be black, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that the lady that I was talking to, she, I can tell that she wasn't happy with me requesting my representation, my legal
Was she shocked or uncomfortable?
Well, yeah, she was. She said, "Well, we can't really. It's not as." She was trying to deter me. She's trying to persuade me that I shouldn't request. It's
Mm,
you know without without saying the words, obviously, but
mm-hmm.
she was with many words. She pretty much implied that it would be because they don't have. You understand the firm just didn't have many black attorneys,
Mm-hmm.
and the attorney that I spoke to, she worked at worked with them part time, so she wasn't. She had her own, and from what I gather, I noticed that it's a trend that most black
Mm,
attorneys tend to work for a firm, but at the same time they're trying to create their own business. They're trying to create
mm-hmm.
their own book of
Mm-hmm.
business,
Mm-hmm. They're trying
So,
to find their own way of starting their own business, and in terms of having this void, were they able to somehow give you some referrals or be able to make some suggestions, or was it just left, saying, I'm sorry, we can't provide any support in that area because of XYZ?
well, I demanded, so I was able to get a young lady, but even she was, I don't think she was experienced enough, you know,
Mm, mm-hmm,
um, just because the information she provided, it was skewed. I would say it was skewed. Uh,
mm-hmm,
and and also, Jade, I've got to be honest. I think some of our people, when they go into these corporate settings or corporate settings, I would say they tend not to represent their kind. You know what I mean? They're not gonna
mm-hmm,
rock the boat. They're gonna do just enough for them to survive. You understand?
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I think when they are have their own business, then they have a little bit more leeway. I think they'll be a little bit more
mm-hmm,
aggressive in
mm-hmm.
representing you. So
I
so
agree.
you can imagine if they really if they have any reservation or they don't agree with certain parts of the law, they're not going to be vocal because remember they're representing a corporation and also a judicial system that benefits the powers that be, people
Mm-hmm.
that are
Yeah.
white supremacists. Hate to say it,
Mm-hmm.
but I've got to be. You got it. It just doesn't fit us.
Mm-hmm.
So as you
Yeah,
can,
they're definitely like what basically what I'm hearing is, if if the individual that is seeking representation is not representing a company, is not affluent, successful, or having some kind of net worth that's like measurable, like as in business, then perhaps there is a waning interest in helping that client, right?
yes, me,
Mm-hmm.
if you are what I'm saying is that when you go, most of our people, when we are looking for legal representation, the law firm is not going to, if you're black, it's not going to give you a black representation. It's not going to give you somebody who knows who can relate to you economically or even socially. You know what I mean? They for some reason they don't, because again, they are very it's a divisive system that's set in place. You almost have to like demand that you want to have black representation. And sometimes our own people don't even, it doesn't even cross their mind that you should have somebody that looks like you to represent you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. As a matter of fact, I had did some research myself years ago, and what I had found out is sometimes there are many reasons why we may need to seek legal advice.
I'm
And
sorry.
it could be
I'm sorry, Jade. I'm getting I know it may
some
not
feedback.
I know it may not even come it may not even come you may not even hear it in the recording afterwards because of the filters that we have. But I'm hearing something that's kind of like, go ahead, talk, say something. Let me see.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I
You hear it as well?
There's some construction. There's some construction that is around me. But just going back to there are times where you might want to seek legal advice. And what I notice is that before you could even get anybody to hear you out, they want to pre-screen you and your situation, and then they'll get back to you if they're interested in helping you.
Yes, if they're interested in representing.
Don't want and they want to see basically what's in it for them.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to pour into you, they're not going to guide you, they're not going to inform you. You either are going to be accepted as a client and guided all the way through if there is potential settlement or something, financial gain to gain from the situation. But if you're just calling for educational purposes, you're going to be deferred to a 800 number for a legal aid or a pro bono, perhaps a student, to kind of answer your question. But if you have ethical violations, employment discrepancies where you want to, I have rights and I feel like I'm being infringed upon, and perhaps maybe HR is not going to help you. You have to seek advice outside of your business. You might want to get professional help, but then we're finding that there are filters or systems that filter your situation, and you will not be heard. Nobody's really hearing you unless you are worth their time.
Exactly. That's you pretty much, your angle is actually correct, Jade. Where you're heading, where you're taking this discussion is correct. Socially, obviously, most of our people majority of our people are in situations where the representation is legal aid. All right. So the population that we are talking to, obviously, is our people. All right. For example, if you have issues with and the areas of, like you mentioned, social issues, right? Like human resources, right? Where there is benefits involved, whether it's food stamps or whether it's health Medicaid or is what do you call it, labor, the Department of Labor, right? These are predominantly our issues, and these issues where we don't have a lot of lawyers, first of all. Okay, so we don't have a lot of lawyers combined with with where you're not perhaps at times you're not able to receive these benefits. Okay, these benefits you're not able to receive, or they are holding back on providing those benefits to you. You don't have any way of, or you may have a hard time getting these benefits. And sometimes you may need to take these people to court. Sometimes, most of the time they have their own hearings because they don't want to get sued, right? They don't want you as a people to get together and bring them a class action lawsuit. And I have a situation, Jade. I have a situation with the Department of Labor where I presented my case because of a former employer didn't pay me on hours, in certain hours. They were stealing my hours. And I still have that case open. So, yes, they actually, I saw a lawyer and he didn't want to take the case. So the thing is we have a lot of Black people. If you are a brother and sister and you have these issues, please reach out to me. There's a link in the description where you can either donate, donate to the Narrowcast. But if you don't have to donate. You can just put your name and email and write a comment. Okay, send a message my way, and definitely we should definitely create a group of people. If you are one person, I looking to definitely create a group of people. So this way we can find representation. Okay, this is just one issue. There are so many other issues. There's issues where in our schools where our kids are being bullied. And when I say bullied, they're being forced to learn things. Say you don't want your child to learn about LGBTQ and Q, whatever you call it. These descriptions, adjectives of that makes no sense to me. If you don't agree with their methods as far as education, yes, we need to band together so that we can have a people who,
a voice.
Yes, a voice.
A voice. And what you're saying is true, because unfortunately, individually, when we seek advice, somehow we're just deferred into option A, B, or C, filtered through, and maybe someone will get back to you, but it's usually a student who's saying, if we are interested in your case, we'll get back to you. We're underrepresented and undervalued. And you may have a legitimate case of discrimination in your workplace. You may legitimately have money being stolen from you. It could even be something more serious. It could be harassment, sexual harassment. But then you're being deferred to the police department. And then you go through another conundrum of, well, I filed the complaint with HR. I filed a report in the police office. And then what? The next thing is to have like a order of protection, which means you can't go to work. So then what? You sue your employer, but then you get fired. It's interesting what happens when you speak up for your rights. And we are, in the end, suffering because how can you, A, afford a lawyer when you get fired? And even if you had the money, will they take your case?
Yeah.
So when we say Black attorneys wanted, there's also another issue that we came across with this topic. When we say where are they, we attempted to try to find some answers to that very question, only to find out that the Black lawyers themselves are actually suffering too. We're suffering, but the Black lawyers are suffering discrimination too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they're not where they want to be, not by choice.
Yeah. And their own
And
and their
mhm,
own occupation, you know. So imagine going to school and then after you've acquired a quote unquote license to practice, and then then you marginalize. That makes no sense. It just doesn't make sense.
mhm,
You spend so many years, you've invested a ton of money. I don't care if it's scholarship or not, right? It's your tax money anyway. So,
mhm,
I mean, at the end of the day, why would you want to invest so many years and then come out and not be able to put to practice what you've learned? So
mhm,
it's asinine, if you ask me. But
mhm.
go ahead, Jade. I'm sorry to stop you.
Yes. So what we're going to do is, family, we would love for you to follow along, listen. We're going to actually share this article with you so that you can read it for yourself because they have some very detailed statistics here. And you know I love details,
Mm-hmm.
but I know you can read as well. So I would love for you to take a look at this article and look at the stats to and find and seek the answer for yourself. Where are the Black lawyers?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they? Because they exist, but where are they? Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
if you did research yourself, you're going to actually find the challenges that they face as we on ourselves are struggling to find someone who will listen to us, to represent us. Not that we're trying to say that there's no qualified lawyers out there,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes the system, we can call it the system, is designed to you know only scoop the cream of the crop, only the high profile cases like you look, OJ Simpson got Black representation. His money could afford a lot of lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have any problems acquiring it, but he was a political figure. Now, we shared our little narrowcast about Shanquilla, and she's deceased. The
Mm.
family sought representation. They have, was his first name Michael Crumb.
No,
The
Benjamin Crump.
Benjamin Crumb. Okay, Benjamin Crumb is a Black lawyer. Then they have another lawyer
Mm-hmm.
who is also Black, a female, and they're doing their best,
Yeah,
but
this
it's again, they themselves feel like they're talking to a void because the interest of helping Blacks, especially if you're not of wealth, is so weak. And
yeah.
and if a lawyer is to take up your case, they're going to be like, well, obviously they're going to say, can you afford me? And then we know anything about lawyers, it's like almost $100 for an hour in some cases. Sometimes you have to put a retainer and say, okay, when you filed all these paperwork, this is as far as I can afford. And
Mm-hmm.
they're just doing filing. They're just doing administrative work. They didn't even step foot in the court. They're just
Mm-hmm.
filing papers.
Yeah.
And so you're on your own after that. They kind of set you up and you got to figure this out by yourself. So when you want someone to carry your case, if you're a person of not of means, your situation falls on deaf ears by default. And then the Black lawyer who may care about you might not be able to connect with you because not only the money, but we also found out other reasons why we can't find them. And so we're going to share this article with you. It's a little lengthy, so I'm going to have to like highlight certain things, but we're going to call out some some issues that Black lawyers are facing just to make their goals, to attain certain goals of why they aspire to be lawyers to begin with.
Yeah.
They aspire to begin, but were they able to succeed in reaching a goal, their goal?
Yeah, I'm going to leave a link in the description. You can follow along. Or do you prefer me to show them the article, Jade? I think.
You can show them the article, and we're going to put the link in case people join in late in the Narrowcast, or maybe perhaps would prefer to read it as opposed to listen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Read it and then they'll listen. And I'll leave a link in the description. Yeah, we'll do it that way.
All right. So here's the article. It's featured in Crane Chicago Business, and it's an article that was published online on June 10th, 2022. So just a year ago.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, the Crane is actually a business publication. It's one of the affluent publication for business. So just yeah.
Thank you. For Black lawyers, roadblocks to partnership persist. The expected sea change after the 2020 murder of George Floyd has yet to be realized, leaving lawyers of color to wonder where they go from here. Barnes and Thornburg partner Lindsay Dates has a full schedule of handling litigation and managing a team, but he's discouraged that more Black and Hispanic attorneys have not risen to positions of power at large law firms in the wake of the 2020 racial reckoning. He even considers leaving the profession. There hasn't been enough effort to give Black lawyers enough business for them to have seats at the table, Date says. After the murder of George Floyd in May 2020, law firms formed or expanded diversity and inclusion committees and ramped up recruiting of non-white lawyers at the associate and partner level. But the underlying roadblock for progress hasn't moved. Many Black and Hispanic attorneys hit a wall because they aren't able to amass the client base needed to ascend to capital partner or, better yet, a spot on the management committee. What could that possibly mean? Sometimes clients are seeking representation and can't find the lawyer. Maybe you're in New York and one of the best Black lawyers is in the state of Chicago. From what I understand, lawyers get their license for that state. Not every state, but that state. So there can be a shortfall of lawyers within your state. Not that they don't exist, but there's just a limit of them. Okay? That's one. What could the other limitation be if it's not in your state? Silverback, what do you think the other limitation could be?
Ask the question again. I was trying to listen.
Let's say the lawyer is located in another state. You're in New York, maybe you're looking, but some of the best lawyers are not in your state. They might be in another state, but they only are required to practice within that state. So that's one limitation. Okay. All right. Well, for the sake of it, I'll just say it.
Oh, no. I want to answer.
You want to try?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Go for it. I'm waiting for you.
So you say, okay, one issue is they don't have the license for a particular state.
Yes.
Right? They don't have the license for a particular state. Or it may be that they don't have experience in a specific area. Right?
True. Exactly. Exactly. Because there could be malpractice. It could be medical malpractice. It could be homicide. It could, like criminal, versus family court, So it could be that. And then the other is that, can't escape it. Where's the money? Can you
Yeah.
afford me? Can you afford me?
Yeah.
Because how long can you carry on a case and then your client can't afford you?
Yeah.
And then here we go, getting referred to the legal aid, pro bono, where it's a student who is doing a thesis, or
Yeah.
maybe someone who is shadowing a lawyer, just breaking in, and they're just doing their what do you call it, apprenticeship,
Yeah. This you see, that's the dilemma, or which is intentional, by the way. Let me explain. In law, there's no clear cut. It's not like you go to a mechanic and he looks at your car and say, okay, this is a problem with your car. Or you come to the mechanic and you know the issue with the car, and you tell them, okay, this is the issue that I have with the car. And it's not clear cut. It's all based on interpretation, right? You would think that law should be clear cut, but it's not. So there's these, and the way they go about billing, for me, it's ridiculous. This is why they make it so difficult for a student coming out of school with their license to just go ahead and jump in and earn experience. So you have to be an apprentice initially, right? And as an apprentice, because it's based on an interpretation, right? The stipulation is you need to first earn. You would think that you learned it in school, so should it be? You shouldn't just go. You should. I mean, it makes no sense sometimes. It's difficult for me to even explain. The methods of doing business is intentional. Okay, it's intentional. Is everybody they're trying? It's a money making scheme rather than justice. They're not in it for justice. They're in it to make money. Okay, it's strong on people.
And only if your case is going to be worth their time,
Yes.
then they'll be worth their interest. But what happened to blind justice, where everyone should be entitled to be represented? And again, you have a case, but they're not interested because it's not going to yield them money quickly or fast enough. But they love the high end cases where they could get millions of dollars after a couple of months. But then what happens to the people who are not as affluent? You don't necessarily have to be poor, but not as affluent. And where's the respect? There is a discrimination for us, monetary and racial discrimination. But then again, we're going back to, where are the Black lawyers? Perhaps the Black lawyers would love to take your case, but let's say they just finished law school. They want to help their people. However, we don't have a system like, okay, if you needed medical benefits, there's Medicaid. There's Medicare for the seniors. If you are on a fixed income and you needed food, there's SNAP, right? Food assistance, for those who are not familiar with the term, right? The old school name is called food stamps, right? There's food assistance. But what about financial assistance for legal representation? There's a void there.
Yeah.
We have no coverage for legal assistance, but yet we should be entitled to justice. But they will not take the case if it's not worth, I'm going to put it in quotes, their time. So perhaps the Black lawyer is interested in representing his people, but a majority of the people, the masses, do not have the means to afford him, her, them, whatever. So then our cases, if it's not something clean cut, okay, it could be, oh, if it's automobile, that's, company to company, how that goes. But what if it's not that simple? You know, in Shanquilla Robinson's case, it's a murder. It's not a simple case where it's this vehicle struck this vehicle and here's a license plate and trace these two parties and, deal with it with insurance companies. We're talking about people, crimes, or, and it involves research. It involves ethics and law, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then where's the interest? Oh, well, you can't afford me, I'm sorry, but you can pay me for $50 for my advice, right? You pay for like 30 minutes of advice, but that's not legal representation where you get hit a home run and, go through the whole course of suing someone and being represented and being heard and presenting your case. So in this case, we find ourselves, who are not lawyers, struggling to represent ourselves, right?
Yeah, yeah. Jade, I have a question. I'm not
Yes.
familiar with the legal aid, uh, legal aid lawyers, right? Lawyers.
Legal
Uh,
aid or legalese, yes. So what it is that, let's say you're seeking advice and you tried calling law firms yourself, right? You
mm,
found something that's reputable in your neighborhood and you got a quote.
mm,
Well, if we were going to take your case, you can come in and, we'll listen to your case, right? You do
mm,
a pre-screening and then they say, you know what, it sounds pretty interesting, it's trivial, whatever, whatever. And then at some point, they're going to say, well, these are our legal fees.
mm,
Some of these lawyers will put out, instead of just making it blatantly appear that they're going to be discriminatory, they're just going to put out the quotes of what their time is worth.
mm.
And then when you realize how expensive it is, by default, you're going to say thank you, no thank you, and you'll leave. And
But
you'll
you,
feel a little deflated.
but you
But
did,
the
but you give
Legal Aid
them,
Society, huh?
mhm.
Yes.
But then again, you are revealed your situation to them. Then wouldn't they use that?
Yes.
Wouldn't they go to another lawyer and or the
No,
courts?
they don't. What they will do is they'll recommend
Mm-hmm.
you trying the Legal Aid Society.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it is the Legal Aid Society is, you get an 800 number or a local number, and then you do another type of pre-screening, and some administrative person will take your name and, get a gist of your case,
Mm-hmm.
and then they'll make calls to basically college students who
Mm-hmm.
are under the shadow of other lawyers, and it'll
Mm-hmm.
be, without saying it's a law firm. You'll be connected somehow to a law firm, but it's really student based, where they're under the shadow of a licensed professional, and these students, college students, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe master students, they're looking to fight a
Make,
case, to
make,
litigate a case,
to make a name
but
for
they're
themselves.
also, yes, to make a name for themselves, but they're
Mm-hmm.
also presenting their work to their teacher who is a licensed lawyer. So
Mm-hmm.
you get coverage, but that's only if someone takes your case. You're being pre-screened again. So it feels like a lottery.
Mm-hmm.
But before you get to that point, the person who is on the other end is also knowledgeable,
Mm-hmm.
and it becomes like a triage, like a 311.
Mm-hmm.
You're calling them, you tell them this is my situation, and they'll say, have you tried these organizations?
Mm-hmm.
Then they're going to refer you to other numbers and places. And you got to do your homework. You got to keep calling and finding out who is going to represent you. And at some point, if you do find someone who will take your case, Then again, you can't get around it. Can you afford it? If they're willing to do pro bono, then you should hope that they will represent you in the light, or, or at least plead your case with intensity as if you were, high clientele, so to speak. Not that you want to, be pampered or anything, but you want someone who cares. You don't want to be like, you know, sign here, do this, do that. This is all I can do. This is all I can provide. And then you get shuffled around, and then your case is open and shut in like less than 3 months. It's like it was a speedy trial. And it's legal. It's legal. So you want someone who is really going to investigate and really probe and bring justice, not just take the shortcuts and say, this is all we can do, put a Band-Aid on it. And then you're not, it's kind of like filing a complaint at the police department, and they're like, here's the paperwork. And then it gets shelved. You get here's your report number. Here's your case number. And then what? You just filed a complaint with the Legal Aid Society? Or did you want justice? So, but anyway, that's just kind of like one avenue of you did your best, but that's as far as you've gotten. But your goal was to find someone who A, cares, and B, can hear your case and be relatable. Okay, you want Black representation, but where are they? Okay, so let me continue with this article, but before I do, Silverback, you want to comment?
Yeah, I guess the question is, if you know, well, not a question. I just want to make I want to give a shout out to attorneys. If you want to come on the Narrowcast, if you want to help us, get your message out or get your business out here. This should be a way for us as a people to work together. There should be a way for people to, why did you go to school? What did you go to school? You went to their schools so that you can continue reinforcing their system? Or you went to school to help your people to understand the system, to understand their legal system. If anything, for us to overcome their system, because their system, law supposed to free you, right? Law supposed to, if from what I gather, the laws, at least the laws that I know of the Creator, they free me. They give me freedom. They don't oppress me. And these laws of the land, especially here in Americas, these laws are oppressive. They restrict, They
discriminate.
Yes,
and it's supposed to be blind justice, but there's a bias.
Yeah. So I'm just reaching out to the Black attorneys. You should be able to help your people by gathering with them and creating think tanks, organizations where we're able to bring forth ideas and solutions. I have an idea for a technology that will monitor, surveil, okay, and keep our community protected as a collective, So, yes, I have an idea that I've been thinking about for quite some time, but I need the funding to implement certain technologies in place, and that eventually it will come to fruition. But go ahead, Jade.
Well, and also I want to add this too, for those who are listening that are in the legal system or perhaps considering it. I think the traditional understanding lawyers and representation perhaps might be not as innovative as you could make it. What do I mean? Okay, let's flip the script for a second, okay? If majority of the high clientele is rich, right? And lawyers would love to get their hands on a juicy case where, wow, this is the law firm, and we have these clients that, this case is, once solved, we could make 1 million or 2 million or 5 million, and this is your percentage. And, you guys are like dreaming of the big bucks. Like, who
Prestige.
wouldn't? I mean,
They were looking for prestige.
who,
Yeah.
who wouldn't? Who
Yeah.
wouldn't, right? But then we're looking at the masses that are underprivileged and underrepresented, but then there's millions of those.
Yeah. So you're working on volume. Jade, I know what you're saying, but for some reason they seem to how do you say, how can I put it? I want to put it in a nice term. They seem to penalize them. You understand, right? They seem to penalize those who may want to work with people who don't have a lot of money. It makes no sense. The way their billing system, Jade, and please, if you're a lawyer, please come forward and explain it to the brothers and sisters. Explain it so that we can also advise you guys on how to perhaps do it better, right? Because there's a disconnect when it comes to these methods that they have in place, because it seems like they penalize the lawyers. I believe, don't quote me, I may be wrong, but you guys you let us know. But there seems to be a system in place where they have to bill a certain way, right?
That you will discriminate.
To be to be compliant. You know what I mean? It's there is strict, and this is where lawyers don't give too much advice unless you are paying them. You see what I'm saying? It's like you don't hear lawyers making comments on social media. No. Right? When you have this quote unquote license, you are restricted from talking. They restrict these people from talking. That's what it seems to me.
But what I have noticed though, have you noticed this though? There has been a lot of using social media, class action lawsuits. They're prepping a class action lawsuit. So there are some lawyers that caught wind. I'm going to use this product as an example. The hair relaxers. There's this push on Instagram and social media. Have you used these products? Do you or someone you know have ever gotten cancer, cervical cancer, fibroids, or this or that after using these products? They're building a case and they're looking for a class action suit. Now, individually, that Black woman who had cancer would say, this is the quality of life I have left. I'm dealing with cancer, this and that, whatever. She might not even be thinking about suing. She's just thinking about her life, the quality of life, and living with her family, right? Her health. She's not thinking about it. But from a lawyer's perspective, you actually can bring something that is very deadly to light. You're going to warn millions of people if they didn't know already. And then you can also bolster some support for the people who would have otherwise been overlooked. Because honestly, who really cares? And I'm not saying I don't care, but who really cares if a Black woman gets cancer or fibroids? In society, they're like, oh, well, because we are of no value to them. But to our family, we are.
Yeah.
But when you pull together a class action suit, it speaks volumes to the company who created that product that caused cancer to this community. And those individual voices that would have otherwise have gone unheard is now being heard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So if you utilize social media properly and not look at the poor as, oh, I can't get anything from it, then you're not looking through the lens differently. I'm telling you to reverse your lenses and see that there is an opportunity here for you to help millions, hundreds, thousands of people that are not being listened to.
Yeah.
But of course, yes, you're going to figure out that there is a way to make money and all that stuff. But the point is, the people need representation, and Black lawyers. I'm encouraging you to not be discouraged because there is a way to do this, but you got to think outside of the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, go. I'm sorry, Jay. Do finish the
The
article actually.
article.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, let's continue. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm floating away in my thought bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to continue. All right, so there hasn't been enough effort to give Black lawyers enough business for them to have seats at the table, Date says. After the murder of George Floyd in May 2020, law firms formed or expanded diversity and inclusion committees and ramped up recruiting on non-white lawyers at the associate and partner level. But the underlying roadblock for progress has not moved. Many Black and Hispanic attorneys hit a wall because they aren't able to amass the client base needed. They need the clients, but remember, the clients can't afford them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Needed to ascend to capital partner or better yet, a spot on the management committee. The recruiting is not difficult. The issue is inclusion and retention, says Chicago legal recruiter and consultant Rodney Abstone Carabajal. The good old boys club very much exists at law firms. The largest law firms require associates or incoming lateral partners to generate books of business in the range of 1.5 million to 2 million to qualify for equity partner. Okay, Abstone Carabajal says. Okay, what did he just say? That the law firms require associates or partners to generate books. So that means that lawyer that comes into the firm has to prove himself or herself. They have to generate business for the
Yeah.
firm.
Yeah. They have to. Yeah.
So they can't take low-end clients because it's not going to meet that threshold of 1.5 million so they can achieve that status
So
within the firm.
justice is expensive.
Yes,
Just.
but that's what we didn't know. This is their
Mm.
inside dilemma, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
$1.5 million to $2 million to qualify for equity partner. Unable to qualify, many Black and Hispanic lawyers leave for positions in corporate legal departments in government or nonprofit organizations. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, they step down. They're not a lawyer, but they're a representative,
Yeah, they're like a clerical or
a
they do
clerk.
administrative positions
Yes,
instead of
isn't
practicing.
that something? So they
Yeah,
have to step down because they didn't meet that threshold. But who is the one that's getting the high profile cases?
whites.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
So indeed, but then they're like, well, we don't know. I mean, they're welcome to apply for the job, but they're just not
exactly.
able to meet
Yes.
the meet the threshold. I mean, they're welcome here. We're
Hmm.
inclusive, right?
That's what they said.
However, however, the regular community cannot afford to pay those lawyers to meet that quota. There's a quota. Okay? So, indeed, lawyers of color are less likely to work at law firms and more likely to pursue government careers than white attorneys, according to a study by the American Bar Association and the National Association for Law Placement Foundation for Law, Career Research, and Education. The study followed a cohort of 2,862 lawyers admitted into the bar in 2000. The largest percentage of African American lawyers is 28.4% that worked in government, 23.9% were at law firms, and only 16.7% of white attorneys worked in government. But 40.2% worked at law firms. Okay, so we have a graph that's going to show the breakdown, but I'm just going to highlight just the law firm part. Okay, so 40.2% whites work at law firms, but only 28.4 are able to work. Oh, sorry, I'm reading the wrong one. 23.9 work at law firms that are Black. So we're highly underrepresented represented in
It's okay.
law. Yeah, it's a big word, right? We're highly underrepresented by lawyers because they are not able to meet the quota and have to step down to do governmental jobs, whereas the whites are able to get the high profile cases that with people with money, the affluent rich that are able to buy their freedom, and then the
So,
rest of us, we have to either represent ourselves or give up on fighting for our own case.
yeah, and then if you are an individual who wants to represent yourself, they don't like that. They you know, and if you see that they don't want people to come to court knowing the law, and then you being able to represent yourself. You know, they don't really want that, but it's gonna start happening, and I think if our Black attorneys, if they don't galvanize, come together and work for the betterment of their people. Yeah, there's going to be there are things that are going to be happening in this world, man. That this oppressive system that's in place, it's going to have to be tackled. It's going to have to go. It's going to
Yeah,
have to come down. You know.
it's really unfair. It's unfortunate. It is biased. It is discriminatory on many levels. But it has the appearance of they're all welcome. But however, we don't know why they can't meet the threshold. They're welcome. But we know. You see, there's loopholes. There's problems. Even if they wanted to help us, they couldn't. And then they by default they themselves have to overlook us, saying, I wish I could take your case. However, they can't disclose my law firm requires me to take only high profile. They can't say that because that's discriminatory. That's why this
Exactly.
article is written, because they can't tell you that. This is what they can't say. This is the behind the scenes. I can't really discuss this with you right now, but there's discrimination again. And they might want to help you, but they have to take cases that's going to bring in the money for the firm. Okay? So then what do we do with this? Okay? So publicly held companies are ahead of law firms and are pressing for more minority attorneys to handle their matters, legal experts say, although they generally steer clear of internal law firm processes. Clients are changing, says Patricia Brown Holmes, managing partner at Riley Safer Homes and Cancilla, and former Cook County Circuit Court judge. Corporate legal departments are more diverse, with women across racial groups in general counsel roles, she points out. Notice that she said general counsel, not lawyers. Corporate boards are increasingly focused on environmental, social, and governance metrics as shareholders ask, "Where is your conscience?" she adds. Even as more attorneys of color handle meaty cases, they can find themselves trapped. They're kept busy, but that leaves them little time to develop their own clients or shake hands and kiss babies, as Dates puts it. The reality impedes the path to real power at their firms. There are still structural barriers that will keep our students and graduates down, so they're not on level playing field. Okay, so that's one scenario. For those that are accomplished, those that have their law degrees and licenses, internally there is a quota. But then here's the other scenario of why we can't find Black lawyers, okay? And this is on a student level, okay? There are still structural barriers that will keep our students and graduates down so that they're not on a level playing field, says Jennifer Rosado Perea, Dean of the DePaul University College of Law. Even as the law firms are more open, they're open only so much. Assessing law students holistically. Attorneys of color, which include those who are Black, Hispanic, and Asian, represent 10.75% of partners, equity and non-equity, and 27.6% of associates, according to the National Association for Law Placement's 2021 report on diversity. Chicago lags the national totals with 99.47% partners of color and 22. Okay, all right, this is a lot of stats. Okay, let me just glean, okay? Forgive me, it's a lot of stats. I like visuals. Numbers are okay, but I have to see some colors and charts and things like that because then it really like sticks in my brain. Like you can't just throw percentage at me and expect me to, follow everything. I got to see it on paper, okay? So we're going to share this link, and I want you to pay attention to the first graph, okay? The first graph shows a comparison of people of all races, African American, Asian, whites, Hawaiian Pacific Islander, Hispanic, multiracial, and Native American. And this is a chart that was created by the ABA National Lawyers Population Survey. Okay, so this is this is a real accurate chart that graphs the demographics of where lawyers of color and those who are of Caucasian descent, where they are in their positions. So according to this chart, it shows that 50% of the lawyers that dominate the court and the legal system, retaining, holding, and maintaining positions in their field as practicing lawyers, 50% of them are white. Okay? And the smallest, thinnest percentage of non-white Caucasian lawyers would be Native Americans and African Americans. you have to, I can't describe the chart, you have to look at it. But consistently from 2016 to 2020, the needle has not moved. In other words, there's no promotion for the Blacks, Hispanics, and people of color within their firms. No promotion.
Yeah.
You either are able to hold your title, which means you're not helping your community because it's only if you can meet that quota, right? Or you pull away and start your own law firm. But then again, where's your clientele? There's a dilemma that they face. How are they going to keep their doors open? Because you can't, it's like, that, I don't know if you've ever seen movies or cartoons. Have you ever seen Little House on the Prairie?
Yes, of
Where
course.
Dr. Baker has clients that say, Doctor, I don't have any money, but I can pay you in eggs.
Yeah.
I don't have,
It's
they
called
barter.
barter. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, they
That was,
barter.
that was the way. I mean, that's the original way of paying, which makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. But like, as you
So,
can see,
mm-hmm,
Jade, even for yourself, as you can see that there's stipulations in place that they have to adhere to in order to practice, in order to bill. You know what I mean? It's like they make it so they don't do that in the medical industry. They make it easy for the doctors to get paid, right? But as you can
mm-hmm,
see, it's intentional. It's intentional because the system is very oppressive, and you
mm-hmm,
can't give these lawyers agency for them to operate.
mm-hmm,
You got to restrict them in so many ways so that they have this, so that this system, the the oppressive system, is still in place to keep black people in place. This
mm-hmm.
is strategically, positioned.
Yeah.
But we
Yeah,
we
and then some people might argue and say, "Oh, but wait, you forgot to mention when you go to court, there's this line where the judge says, if you can't afford an attorney, we will provide one for you."
Mhm.
But you don't get to choose. You
No.
don't know if that lawyer is biased.
Hmm.
You don't know if that lawyer has a history of not fighting for the clients. I
Hmm.
mean, you can get representation, but that doesn't mean they're going to fight for you.
Yeah.
Only those who pay that can afford it. In my mind, it looks like legal bribery. When they reach those so-called plea deals, like they can buy their freedom, but a
Hmm.
poor person cannot.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, here, post bail, 2 million. Oh, no problem. You got the money. Of course you can do that. But the poor person, you're gone.
No.
So then these law firms, even if a black lawyer opened his own firm and say, gee, I want to help the people, but they can't afford me and I need to keep my business open.
Yeah.
So there's that dilemma.
Yeah, we need family. If you're a lawyer, please refer someone. Please send us your name so we can interview you. We can so that you can break down just what it takes.
Mm-hmm.
What you need to do as an attorney to operate uh,
Mm-hmm.
as an attorney. What what
Mm-hmm.
can what can our brothers and sisters do to support our brothers and sisters who are attorneys in their practice? There's got to be a way. There's got to be a loophole that we can capitalize on. We can utilize to
Mm-hmm.
make your business and the business of other attorneys, um, like attorneys, of course,
Mm-hmm.
to better support, because we take a look at these cases. There's a lot of these shootings of black young black men, and we only have one attorney in the whole country that goes around as an ambulance chaser. Because that's what he is. He chases these crises, these tragedies, and then he gets paid, and he's the only one. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like it seems like there's only one at a time. Like, okay,
Yeah.
after him, there's going to be another one. I mean, come on. Let's create. I'm willing to create a database. Okay, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use technology to create a database. Okay, an automated AI-driven database.
You know what? I love that idea. And you know what, family? We also encourage you to don't be afraid to comment, because we always say like and subscribe and comment below. But this topic is something that is a necessity, because we're talking about law, representation, freedom, and justice. Okay.
Yes.
And, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you needed help, then you're going to understand why this conversation is relevant. This is not just, oh, you guys are just scrambling for a topic to talk about. No, we're talking about collectively we should do something, or at least
Yes.
have the discussion so that we can come up with a solution. And I just thought of one right now, and I'm not even sure if this works. And that's why Silverback said we encourage lawyers to come and let's talk. When you say interview, to come give some insight to the community so we know how to help ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, what should we do? Where do we need someone to help us understand what to do. So here's my idea. Okay, you know how some businesses don't, the freelancers don't have any support in their jobs because they're freelancers. Why am I struggling with my words today? Like,
It's all right.
I'm thinking about a union, that we should have a union for law, so that we can ensure we can have money, representation, so we can secure very good lawyers to represent the people. We the people for the people, but a union for Black lawyers, people of
Well,
color.
I don't they. I mean, if they have to have a license, then they would be operating independently, right? I don't think.
But when, as a union, like, okay, this is me in my limited mindset, because I am not a lawyer. But like, if you can apply for Medicaid and that's insurance, why should we only accept pro bono? It's like a lottery. You don't get to pick and choose your lawyer. We cannot pick and choose. But if we have a union, we can say, look, we have somewhat like a type of insurance
I think
where
what
we
you.
can now afford to secure a good lawyer.
Yeah, but I think what you're referring to is more like a network. You should create like a
Yes, a
network.
network.
Yeah.
A network or a union where we can have money or monies collected, that we can secure a lawyer for maybe 6 months
Yeah, that would.
or something,
Yeah,
something of that sort.
that would be like a funding system, right? A
Mm-hmm.
funding
Yeah.
a system set in place that, again, that's what I'm saying, Jade. Like with this technology, right? I can't give too much details because somebody can pick this up and just go run with it. So
No, but collectively, I don't want you to reveal it, but I
no, no,
think
no.
let's have a think tank.
Absolutely not. I'm
But
not.
we should have a think tank
Yeah.
and come up with a way to help our community, because there is a need, and we by far, are underrepresented, which is a flip side opportunity. If we look at it in a different light, we can actually turn this around.
Yeah, but Jade, it's about priority. Where are our priority as a people? Because it seems as a people, we seem to be able to find funds to go and purchase things like a car or shoes or luxury items, right? Black folks seems to always have money for luxury items, but they don't have funds for for things that's gonna help us collectively. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to create systems that would help us, that can give us a return, right? Financially. So we have to create our own financial systems that can create funding, right? Like, it's like a dividend, like stocks, that it's possible. It's possible to do. But again, we have to prioritize as a people, prioritize what we want to do with our money and how we want to construct our neighborhoods, okay, as a society, as a group of people. If we come together as individuals, yes, we can create financial systems that can empower our system, that can reward our system collectively, right? We just need people with brains who have a background in finance, right? And if it's medical, we need to find people who have background in medical. And if it's scientific, then we have to find people. We can do it. We can do whatever we want to do, but we gotta prioritize. And then we can. And then we have to have, for every system, we have to have committees or that will be able to put these systems in place and reinforce these systems so they can operate correctly, right? So these things are doable, but there always seems to be a distrust when we have to do things collectively, when we have to gather, right? But one thing's for sure. Let me tell you something, Jade. These politicians, right? Okay, I'm gonna go off course slightly, but it applies. Just hear me out. There are foundations, okay? They are think tanks. They're foundations, but they're think tanks. And these foundations, they fund ideas, okay? Man, I'm trying to find. I'm trying to get some of the name of these foundations, and then I can't seem to bring them to mind right now. But I'll just say in general, there are foundations that fund think tanks. Basically, they find the brightest, the best minds. They come together, okay. And these foundations would usually pick these people to go out to become congressmen, to become legislators, right? They select these people to go and represent them in Washington. Okay? I know what I'm saying right now doesn't make sense, but one of these days, what I'm going to do, I'm going to break it down for you, family, so you can understand that these people have presidents like Clinton, okay? Now, we may call presidents like Carter, Obama, right? These people were funded, okay? They came from out of a certain organizations, right, with a certain mind, with a certain agenda that was set in advance, years in advance. It was set in years in advance. It's just a matter of they're funding this person to go to school, right, and then eventually, when they move up in society, these people are indebted to these organizations. You may call them fraternities. You may call them
Sororities.
sororities. right? You
Mm-hmm.
can call them whatever you want to call them, but these are all connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
So us as a people, we have to be able to get together and then use our funding, our
Mm-hmm.
funds. Now, you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to outright just go into your pocket and go ahead and fund these things here. No, we have to work together. And as we work together, we can then create organizations that while you're working, while you're operating as a business, you're giving some of your funds to these organizations. And these organizations
Yes.
are funded to
Yes.
for us to build to
A better
give.
community.
Yes, that's what this thing.
Yes, our community. I mean, the Jews do it all the time.
That's the
They
only
have
way of
their
doing
own
it.
little network. They have their own system.
Yes,
They work it. And it's
yes.
true. It has to A, exist, and it has to be supported by us. I mean, like you said, people can go and buy Air Jordans. They can buy Beats by Dre. They can go and buy, designer clothes. But would it make sense to put money into something that's going to help your community? We're already, um, helping other people live their dreams. They
Yeah.
have these Coco Chanels and these, Louis Vuitton people have their money already,
Mm-hmm.
and you might be a repeat buyer, you might be a fan of the products, but actually investing in your own community for the improvement of your community is so needed. So, I know, you know, some lawyers can be looked at as ambulance chasers, like, wow, here comes an accident, there goes money. But then, understand this, because we should value our community, created a network, a community, um, I had mentioned union, like I don't even have the right term, but I understand collectively, collaboratively, if we
Mm-hmm.
have an organization that represents our people, where there's funding, okay, so it's like having insurance, where something happens, you can at least get 6 months, a year's worth of legal support
Mm-hmm.
covered, a network where because don't we do this with our medical insurance? Don't they take a
Yes.
little bit of your paycheck for your
Yes.
medical, and then by the time it's time to get your dental work, you paid for that,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So in the event that you need legal representation, you don't have to go through what I mentioned, call the 800 number, speak to a student, speak to a maybe if we want to represent you kind of answer, and you're the one who has been assaulted or underrepresented or maybe sexually assaulted in your job. You never know what it is, big or small. No matter what the case is, you want representation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if we had our network in place, then you can say, you know what, I need someone to hear me out. Now, this is what the article is talking about, leveling the playing field.
Mm-hmm.
The lawyers now have some leverage. Then they also adequately can keep their doors open to represent the people. And then we, the people who are underrepresented, will now have representation. There you
Yeah.
go. And but we, the people, put our money where it needs to be, back into our community. We're investing in our justice, because we do need representation. I'm struggling with that word.
It's all right, Jade.
We do need support.
It's all right. It's all
But
right.
those lawyers also need us to be unified, and they need support too.
Yeah. So.
So, so I think, like you said, we should welcome some legal professionals. Let's have a think tank. Let's talk. Let's
Mm-hmm.
come to the table. Come to the
Yeah.
table and let's talk about this, because our community needs some answers.
Yeah. Jade, I'm gonna do. We're gonna have to do part two of this because
Yes.
I want our brothers and sisters to understand that in their system they have people. They call them philanthropists. And these philanthropists like Cecil Rhodes,
Mm-hmm.
the Rhodes scholar, the Rhodes, Cecil Rhodes, right? He invested
Yes.
heavy in the schools, but Cecil Rhodes is also an individual on the continent. He invested in the schools on the continent, a schooling that taught that these white supremacy education. You understand,
Yes.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
these people invested in training your children to be under a certain program for hundreds of years. Okay, the Rhodes Scholar, Cecil Rhodes. So I think I'm gonna need to really break that down. When we talk about think tanks are organizations that they have put in place that will service and continue their system, okay? Their system that's in place already for hundreds and hundreds of years. So we also have to be able to have our organizations that that's their missions are greater than us. Meaning this system that I'm putting in place is not only going to support my family, but it's going to support my
Mm-hmm.
nationhood. Okay, we seem to always be just trying to survive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're not creating systems. We're just trying to survive within their system. If you're trying to survive within their system, then you're supporting their system. You're reinforcing their system.
We're reinforcing the problem
Yeah.
because it's not serving our community at all.
No, it's oppressing our community, is deleting us, is removing us, is keeping us in bondage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have to change our minds as a people, as a collective. I'm not just
Mm-hmm.
talking, family. I just don't talk. I do. Okay, we do things. So when we get together as individuals, yes, we're gonna come up with things. We're gonna come up with solutions,
Mm-hmm.
and then in the process, and I know Jade, sometimes you say I kind of get hard on people, but we have to be able to segregate ourselves. Okay, the only you know. Let me tell you something. Do you get anything? Anything? Just Think of this, Jade. In society, in nature, if you're mixing anything with anything else, are you making it stronger or are you making it less stronger? Or are you watering it
It's
down?
supposed to, it's supposed to be watering it down.
Yes. So as a people, if we're gonna get stronger as a people, we cannot mix with everybody else. They've trained our people to believe this. Oh, go get what is this? We need to have uh, um, here in America they call it when when they the whites always tell they always tell black people to have what do you call it? These people that can help you. We don't need to be. We need to separate out. We need to segregate ourselves. We need to remove ourselves from other people. Okay, we need to come up with our own plans as black people. Okay, our own systems, our own businesses. We have to do things on our own. We can't
Yeah.
rely on other people. You can't go work
Well,
for other people.
yeah, and in this situation, what we're specifically talking about is if we recognize there is a problem, analyze the problem, and sometimes you have to reinvent the wheel. If it doesn't serve us, it's not working. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work. It is broken. And it is a funnel problem because it's like we're being processed like meat. This is how we do things. This is how it's done. It doesn't really serve everybody's needs. There is no fairness. There's no justice. But yet, when you are the one who needs to seek justice, you're going to see this in black and white in your face that there's no one really there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. Like you're up against, that's what I saw when we were reading on the Shanquilla case. They're like amazed how Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito's case caught worldwide attention. People were like, everyone and their cousin was became a a, a forensic scientist. Everyone wanted to be a CSI investigator. They called them cyber sleuths, where they would tear into any kind of media content and slow down, images and by the seconds and blew up. They assisted the FBI in solving that case. And then with Shanquilla, crickets.
Yeah.
Hello, the crime happened in Mexico. 6 people committed a crime or were accessories to the crime, and they actually left the country.
That says more. That says more about us than them, Jade. You know,
Yes,
it,
but
it
but again, the system.
mm-hmm,
Where's the attention? Even there's this silent. There's no urgency in helping the family, Shanquilla's family, get
mm-hmm.
justice.
Yeah, I mean the social media, like the black media, social media influencers have been the most outspoken when it comes down to Shanquilla's um, situation. You know, so
Hmm.
we've always had, I would say yes in that particular case, social media influencers have stepped up in helping that case. Okay, so this is where you got national attention because of social media. But we can't continue relying on social media. We have to if we're gonna
Exactly.
we have to create things that belongs to us so that we don't get shut down. Okay, if we want
Hmm.
to be heard, we can produce the results that we want through our own media, to our own outlets. So
Hmm.
it's important that we definitely. I know we ventured off slightly off topic, but it's important that we become a people that come up with things. And it's usually if somebody invents something, it's one individual. It's not a group. You see what I'm saying? It's not a
Hmm.
group of us doing stuff together. It's always an individual who's doing one thing over here. One person is doing this over here. One person is doing this over here. Yeah, individually, we're not going to move forward collectively. That
Hmm.
individual is going to make money. Yeah, great. That one individual. But as a group, we have to be able to create systems. Okay? One individual cannot create a system. One individual can start a system, but the collective have to come. We have to come together. There's no any other way, and this is our to our detriment. If we do not do this, ah,
Well, if we don't do this, then it's like
extinction.
us turning a deaf ear to our
Yeah,
own cries, to
yeah,
our own cries.
we're gonna
So,
face
so,
extinction.
so that visual of the statue covering her eyes, this is where we're covering our ears because
Mm,
we see the injustice. We all know how devastating, how tragic, how traumatic the George Floyd situation was. I mean, even children had a hard time.
mm-hmm,
It's like, when they go to school, it's like, oh, who are the people in your neighborhood? And, you're supposed to be trusting those community workers,
mm,
the firemen and the policemen and the milkman. The kids are taught to trust them. Now,
mm,
all of a sudden, you see the so-called community workers killing the community. And you're like, wait, I thought they were here to protect us.
yeah,
At a young age, they're seeing murder, and so we adults have to say, okay, there's a problem here, and it goes beyond us marching with a, a sign, because
Mm-hmm.
that's just noise in the eyes of of corporations.
Mm-hmm.
But where it speaks volumes is when that group collectively meets and
And
creates
create funds.
LLCs,
Mm-hmm.
unions that raise money. Hey, we can raise the money. Don't
Mm-hmm.
we invest our money in a lot of vacations and cars, and we can
Yeah,
invest.
luxury goods. We know
There's
how to do that.
millions of them.
We are
There's
very
millions of
good at spending money, giving our money away. And one of
yes.
and Jade, believe it or not, one of the most um, lucrative ways that money is coming out of out of our communities. Guess what's the number one way that we lose our money? Because you remember
Uh,
when money leaves, put it this way: money when money leaves your community, right?
is it entertainment? Is it entertainment?
Well, yes, that's the number one. Number one is entertainment. But I would say that's been I think I would say that's been a deception. That's been the deception. I think I believe firmly, I don't have the numbers, but I believe the number one way the money leaves our community is to the church.
Mm, okay.
Okay? I believe it's to the church because, first of all, those churches are not taxed. Okay?
Okay. Well, that's one way, but not everyone goes to church, so they're not all spending their money there.
Yeah, I
I
know.
don't.
I
I
know.
don't honestly. I don't think that's the only way we lose money. I think people invest their money in entertainment. They
Well,
invest in leisure.
Lee, yeah, yeah, that's been well, that's been proven. That is, you're right. That's been proven. But I really think that most of our money, because a lot of our people are religious. A lot of our people are religious.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Well, in any event, the point
mm-hmm,
is that we don't want to. We need to redirect our funds where it matters.
mm-hmm.
And I think let's stay on point here so that we don't start blaming the church for everything. Okay, we want we want to talk about helping ourselves because we need legal representation.
Mm-hmm.
Period. It's egregious because if we don't, then what? Okay, let's look at it. The absence of this is what? Civil
Un,
war.
unrest. Yes.
Where unrest, where it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, no one's listening, so we're
Mm-hmm.
just gonna go what Beyonce and Jay-Z says, we're gonna go ape blank, okay? We
Mm-hmm. Say it,
and
Jade. We're gonna go ape shit.
I'm not a cursor, okay? I don't like
Mm-hmm.
to curse.
Yeah,
Listen,
it's gonna.
understand, that's not me. But what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, that song is kind of funny to me, to tell you the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Silverback going ape blank, okay?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Ape shit.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
pun intended. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But in all seriousness, collectively we can do a lot. And here's one, if you guys don't think it's possible, okay, let's think about this for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The lotto, $1. A million people
That's
who agree with what we just said.
yeah.
One
We
dollar.
and
One dollar donation towards this organization,
that's
this
another
future organization.
that's another way money go out of our.
$1 million. $1
Mm-hmm.
million right there.
Yeah.
And it only costed you $1. Okay, so it is possible for this to
Mm-hmm.
be formed so that we can get representation, and support our Black lawyers so that they can help us help
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. Now, yes, there is a need, but let's think about the possibilities. What we need is collective minds to say, you know what, you're raising great points.
Mm-hmm.
You may not be a lawyer, Miss Phoenix Rising, but you and Silverback raise a good point. We need
Mm-hmm.
to talk about this because it is doable,
Mm-hmm.
but it takes people picking your head up off your desk, out of the newspaper, away from the TV, away from your cell phone, to be like, we're in a conundrum here. We need
Mm-hmm.
to think outside the box and say, you know what? Let's step away from the noise and say, you know what? If we kind of turn the tables around, push the needle in a certain direction, we can actually make a difference.
We will.
It is possible for us to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And 1 million people who agree with what we just said, $1, there you go. The business can be opened. Okay, this is not business 101. This is not how you start a business. But I'm just saying it's possible to fund it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
For the people to fund it and for us to get representation for ourselves. So we would encourage, if we do a part two, and I think we should, as you said, we invite people to come and comment and say, let's discuss this further. Let's see what the people think. This is what we know. And come together and say, you know what? Brilliant minds can do brilliant things. And we're looking for brilliant people to say, we can do this. It can be done. Despite all of the horrors and injustice in the world, we should come together. We should do this for our people, for ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And on that note, Jade, I think we've said enough. At least this will be part one. Um, we give you some homework, family. Those who are listening, please give us your input. Please, if you know someone who is an attorney, someone who, whether is a legal clerk or a student who is studying to become a lawyer, anyone that has the knowledge can contribute. Please send us an email, send us a note by clicking the link in the description. Give us your name, email, and write us a note. Refer someone to us. Let them know about this topic. Send them, share this narrowcast with them. And yes, let's be intentional. All right, let's just not do things just to be doing, just to for clicks. When this is a narrowcast. We're narrowing in on people that help our community, people that are about the community, people who work for Black people. Okay, if you are a Muntu on a continent, you also should be able to contribute. This is not only for those. This is for all the Africans across the four corners of the planet. All right. If you're in Russia, you're the only Black people there. Please comment and contribute to the discussion, because we have to be a people who are intentional. We've got to be intentional in our purpose. All right. And as when we become more intentional, we can then now start developing think tanks. Okay. From think tanks, we start incorporating foundations. From foundations, we can then support our communities. All right. Now, in the next topic, I'm going to go a little more deeper on these quote unquote think tanks and foundations, because there have been organizations, okay? You call them the Rothschilds, the Vanderbilts, the Chase, the the Rockefellers, right? These were people who made their fortunes in the first, what you call the first industrial revolution. Okay, these were barons who made money. The Cecil Rhodes. All right, so these are people who made money, and they were businessmen, but a lot of them were racists. All right, and they had intention, and they put their money where their mouth were. They left institutions that are still standing to today. Okay, and these institutions have funded many of your children's education, and they keep reinforcing, they keep forcing their ideology on our children. So your children are being indoctrinated with white supremacy ideologies, right? To keep their system running. All right. Now, if you want to continue supporting that system, then yeah, then you can go ahead. But I'm talking to people who want to make a change, who want to return to the way our ancestors, how they built Egypt. Okay? They built our civilizations. I want my kids to learn about that civilization and less of quote unquote the oppression era. Yeah, it's important for them to know this the eras of colonialism and slavery, which is the same thing, right? These oppressive eras. It's okay for our kids to learn that, but I don't want them to internalize that and become servants. That's not a way to go. We want to get our kids to empower our children to be creators and builders of civilizations like our great ancestors have done. All right.
And with that said, the scripture that comes to mind, all things are possible for him who believes.
Mm-hmm.
We believe that we can overcome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the think tank, the purpose of the think tank is for those who are experienced in being a mover and a shaker, help us build it. Let's make it happen.
That's right.
We need representation. We need people who care about the people to help us build a system that will help the people help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very necessary. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much, family, for joining us in this Narrowcast.
Thank you.
I hope that what we've brought and shared with you, I know I didn't read the entire article, but that's why we're sharing the link. I hope what we've shared is of value to you. And we also strongly encourage you to support our Narrowcast. We have many ways that you can contribute to our Narrowcast. There are links provided where you can donate directly. When you purchase any of the items that we promote on our Narrowcast, it does support our channel. But also, too, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, the usual. We are growing a community. So we encourage you to share this information because like minds think alike, but also too, brilliant minds can do brilliant things. And I believe in that. So I encourage you to share this message so that we can be influencers in our way. Because influencing on social media, you're influencing dance and promoting other people's music, but we're influencing you and encouraging you to help. We need to help each other. So that's what we're doing. We're encouraging us to help each other. Okay? So if you have experience, join us in the discussion next time. Reach out to us. We have links where you can say, I have information I'd like to share. I would love for you to talk about this. Here are some ideas. Let's talk. Okay? Love you. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing from you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye. May Baba Mungu bless you. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Take care.
Bye-bye.